It's that time of year for me when I make my top 25 favorite roller coasters that I personally ridden. A lot of roller coasters are on this list from last year. I just changed some spots on this list because I've changed my opinions on certain rides. I've only been to Indiana Beach and Kings Island this year, so I have not ridden a lot of new roller coasters, especially because I have been to Kings Island, Indiana Beach multiple different times. So today, I'm going to be announcing my top 25 favorite roller coasters of 2022. Number 25 is Raptor, located at Cedar Point, a B&M inverted roller coaster. This thing is so low just for one reason. It's a little too rough for me. I do think it's very intense, and I do really like the inversions on this ride, but besides that, this ride is just really fun, but it's also a little too rough to enjoy at the same time, if that makes sense. Number 24 is Time Traveler, located at Silver Dollar City, a Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster. This ride is very fun, however I wish it was a little more forceful than it was. I really do like the inversions on this ride, and I also really like this S-curve that's on the ride. It's probably my favorite part of the ride, and I really do think it's an amazing ride. If it was a little more intense, it would definitely be ranked higher, and I highly recommend riding this ride when you go to Silver Dollar City. Number 23 is Gemini, located at Cedar Point, manufactured by Aerodynamics. I honestly think this ride is really fun, especially for a family coaster. It has a lot of good airtime pops. It also has a really cool view, and I highly recommend riding this when you go to Cedar Point. This is an amazing ride, especially for a family coaster. It's definitely one of the better family roller coasters out there, and it's definitely one of my favorites. Number 22 is Mystery Mine, located at Dollywood, manufactured by Gerstlauer. This ride is the most probably underrated roller coasters I've just ever ridden. It's so amazing. It is such a good ride. It has such good versions. It actually has some good pops at airtime, which kind of hurts on the over-shoulder restraints. Besides that, this is just an amazing coaster overall. Highly recommend riding this when you go to Dollywood. It's an amazing ride. Number 21 is Flight of Fear, located at Kings Island, manufactured by Premier Rides. I did not ride this last year, but I did get a chance to ride it once this year, and I still think it's a really fun ride. I just think a lot of roller coasters are better than this ride, especially because it is a clone at multiple different parks, especially the Six Flags parks with Joker's Jinx and stuff like that. I do really like this ride. It's very intense, and I highly recommend riding it when you go to Kings Island. It's a really fun ride. Number 20 is Wild Eagle, located at Dollywood, a B&M wing coaster. This ride is a really fun ride. It is my favorite wing coaster. I like it better than Gatekeeper just for one reason. It actually has the intensity, unlike Gatekeeper, and wing coasters aren't supposed to have intensity, but I did find this one to be somewhat intense, and I do think it's a fun ride, and I highly recommend riding it when you go to Dollywood. Number 19 is Wildfire at Silver Dollar City, a B&M sit-down coaster. This ride is super fun. It is super intense. I've never ridden Kumba before, but this ride I hear is kind of like Kumba, and I can't wait to ride that someday. But this ride is absolutely incredible. It is very intense, and I highly recommend riding it when you go to Silver Dollar City. Number 18 is Lost Coaster, Superstition Mountain at Indiana Beach, manufactured by CCI. This ride is a really fun ride. I honestly think it has really good airtime. It really doesn't even look like a roller coaster. It looks more like just a little ride. It's really fun, and I highly recommend riding it when you go to Indiana Beach. It's an amazing ride. Number 17 is Rougarou at Cedar Point, a B&M floorless coaster. This is another underrated ride that's in my top 25. I really like this ride. It is very intense. It's actually very smooth, unlike what other people say. A lot of people say it's rough, and I think it's a really fun ride, and I think it has really cool inversions. I really like the incline to loop. That's probably my favorite part of the ride, and I also just love everything about this ride. I also think it looks really cool across the lake and stuff. I just think it's a really cool ride. Number 16 is Powder Keg at Silver Dollar City, manufactured by Premier Rides. This is a really fun ride. It has my favorite launch on a single roller coaster that I've ridden. It is super intense, and I just really like this ride. It also has some really good pops of airtime, and it's really fun, and I highly recommend riding this when you go to Silver Dollar City. It's my second favorite roller coaster at Silver Dollar City, and it's just a really fun ride, period. Number 15 is Tennessee Tornado at Dollywood, manufactured by Aerodynamics. This is a really fun ride. It's so smooth for an aero roller coaster. It's also really intense. I really love this ride, and it's also my second favorite roller coaster by the manufacturer Aerodynamics, and it's just a really good ride. It's short but sweet, and that's what I love about it. And it's still a really good ride, and I highly recommend riding this when you go to Dollywood. It's a really good, intense, smooth ride. Number 14 is Hoosier Hurricane at Indiana Beach at CCI Wind Roller Coaster. This ride is super fun. It is very underrated in my opinion. Why don't anyone talk about this besides me? This is a really good ride. It's my second favorite roller coaster at Indiana Beach as of right now, until the looping roller coaster opens eventually. But this ride is absolutely amazing. Has some of the best airtime in the state of Indiana, and it's just such a good ride, and there's no doubt about it, and it's just an amazing roller coaster. Highly recommend riding this when you go to Indiana Beach. Before I move on to the next spot, I just like to let you guys know that you guys are going to probably get really mad at me for this, so be prepared. It has dropped in my rankings, but guess what? That's just my opinion. Number 13 is Diamondback at Kings Island, a B&M Hyper Coaster. Now, you guys have noticed that this ride used to be way higher, and yet everyone has been telling me ever since I've ridden this thing has a really bad rattle. And now I finally see, because I've never noticed it till this year. It was really bad. Besides that, this ride is super fun. I think the airtime's really good. I just think that the rattle kind of ruins the majority of the ride. I really like the splashdown too. I get tons of pictures of this every time I come to Kings Island. I recommend riding this when you go to Kings Island, but ride it up more towards the front, and it's a smoother ride. Number 12 is Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point, manufactured by Aerodynamics. This is my favorite roller coaster manufactured by Aerodynamics. This ride is absolutely amazing. I do really love the airtime on this thing. It is a little rough, but it's old and you kind of expect that. And it's just a really fun ride. I'd take this over Diamondback just for one reason. The ejector airtime is absolutely insane. I haven't rode this thing since 2019. I just rode Diamondback literally just a few weeks ago. But I do think this ride is just really fun, and the ejector is just unbelievable. And I highly recommend riding this when you go to Cedar Point. It's a really fun ride. Number 11 is Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, manufactured by B&M. I have not ridden this thing since 2017, but the thing is, I remember it being a really smooth ride, unlike Diamondback. And I've took a Diamondback over it for years, and now I'm finally thinking Mako's the better ride, just because it's smoother. And guess what? The airtime's still really good. And I highly recommend riding this when you go to SeaWorld Orlando. And the thing is, when I went to SeaWorld Orlando, I was still getting into roller coasters. I just went on this ride, and I didn't really go on any of the rides that went upside down. So, yeah, that's just the thing about SeaWorld Orlando, and that's why this thing's on this list in the first place. Cracking the top 10 is Thunderhead at Dollywood, manufactured by GCI. This ride is absolutely amazing. I prefer the front row other than the back like I do on most roller coasters like this. It is absolutely amazing though. It's just so good. Like, you have such good airtime. Twists and turns, the laterals are just absolutely insane. And I highly recommend riding this when you go to Dollywood. It's also my second favorite roller coaster at Dollywood. It's just an amazing ride. Number 9 is The Beast at Kings Island, an in-house made wooden roller coaster. I used to hate this roller coaster when I first rode it back in 2020. It was a really terrible ride, but ever since it got retracked, I fell in love with it. It's such a good ride. I liked it last year, but it was barely in my top 20. Now it's in my top 10, and it is an absolutely amazing ride. Ride this when you go to Kings Island. You will not regret it. I did not get a night ride just because the line was super long, but it was a really fun ride. Number 8 is Maverick at Cedar Point, manufactured by Intamin. This ride is absolutely amazing. This is honestly one of the most intense roller coasters I have personally ridden. It is super good. How would anyone not like this ride? It is super fun. It has really good air time. It has really good intensity. I hear it's like Intimidator 305, which is one of my bucket list rides, and it's a very fun ride. I highly recommend riding this when you go to Cedar Point. It's super fast and low to the ground the whole time, and it's just an amazing ride. Ride this when you go to Cedar Point. You will not regret it. Get the back row, and it's super good. Warning, this is another unpopular opinion. Most of you Cedar Point fans will really get me in the comments for this one. I really like this ride that's up next, and I really recommend riding it, and it's just something I really like. So please respect my opinion. Please, it will be greatly appreciated. So let's get back to the video. Number 7 is Banshee at Kings Island, a B&M inverted roller coaster. This ride is so much better than Raptor at Cedar Point. This is an amazing ride. Every time I ride this, that's the more I love it. It's super good, and I can't believe how good it really is. Now, I know all you guys are like, how is this better than Maverick in any way? I think this is one of the most intense roller coasters I've ever ridden. And when people call us forceless, it really gets me thinking how. And I really would like to go back to Kings Island and ride this. Even though I just rode it a few weeks ago, it's super good. I highly recommend riding it when you go to Kings Island. Number 6 is Cornball Express at Indiana Beach, a CCI wooden roller coaster. This is my home park. I've ridden this roller coaster more than any other roller coaster in the world. It is super good. I really love it. This ride is an airtime machine, and it also has a stupid amount of laterals, and I still can't believe how good this ride, especially because it's so close to home, and I ride this thing literally all the time, and it's just such a fun ride, and I highly recommend doing this when you go to Indiana Beach. This is the best ride there, and without a doubt, it would be hard to top it at Indiana Beach. Number 5 is Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, a GCI wooden roller coaster. If this is the definition of a good wooden roller coaster, this would be it. This is such a good ride. I love this ride. I literally could ride this ride all day. This ride has a crazy amount of airtime. The airtime is really good too. It is super fast paced. It is honestly my second favorite night ride of all time. It is just such an amazing ride, and I highly recommend riding it when you go to Kings Island. This ride is so much fun, and you need to ride it. Number 4 is Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City, an RMC Top Track wooden roller coaster. This ride is absolutely incredible. This ride has some of the wildest airtime ever, and it is such a good ride. It has the intensity, it has the airtime, it has the inversions, it has everything you could possibly want in a wooden roller coaster. It is super good, and I highly recommend riding this when you go to Silver Dollar City. It's also my favorite roller coaster at Silver Dollar City. Number 3 is Orion at Kings Island, a B&M Giga Coaster. This ride is absolutely amazing. This is my favorite B&M roller coaster, just period. It is super good. It's hard to top this ride. I'd probably have to go on Fury just to top this roller coaster in the B&M category. This ride is absolutely amazing. I highly recommend riding it when you go to Kings Island. The airtime is amazing. The intensity is amazing. That first drop is deadly, and it's just so good. So ride it when you go to Kings Island. Do not miss it. Even if you're scared of it, just ride it. Number 2 is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point, manufactured by RMC. This ride has a crazy amount of airtime, and it actually has the most airtime on any roller coaster in the world, which is really good. I really like the airtime moments, especially that Outer Bank curve. That's my favorite part of the ride. That's probably just my favorite element on any ride, period. It's just super good. It's probably one of my favorite elements. I'm not sure if it is my favorite or not. I'd have to determine that. I should probably make a separate video on that. But I honestly think this ride is just super good. The inversions are actually pretty good too. And the first drop is really good. And everything about this ride is amazing and perfect. But there's a ride that I think is way better than this, just because it has better airtime. This has more airtime, but quality over quantity, and I like quality better. So this next ride is going to be absolutely incredible. Number 1 is Lightning Rod at Dollywood, manufactured by RMC. This ride is absolutely incredible. From the launch to the quad down, it's just so good. All these elements are perfect on this ride. This ride is smooth too. I don't get why people say this ride is rough. This ride is smooth as butter. I really like this ride. It is my favorite roller coaster for this reason. It has the strongest airtime I've ever experienced in my life. It has my favorite first drop, and it's just an absolute amazing ride. I highly recommend riding this. When you go to Dollywood, it is an amazing ride. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this amazing video. And stay tuned for more videos just like this here on Theme Park Base. And I will see you all guys next time. And let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what your top 25 roller coasters is. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.